Hey all you cool cats and kittens, this is Miles at Tier 1 Concealed and I'm doing my first Monday Gunday today. Today we're taking a look at the OZ9 V2. This one specifically is the full-size combat version. It is unloaded, just so you guys know. First, a little history on this gun. The first OZ9, the original version, was launched in 2019. This is version 2. There's a couple key changes. I don't know why I locked the slide back, because to see the first one, there's this, I'm gonna call it the snoot. I don't know what this is called. The snoot under here, that's got the bob cut on it. That is new for the V2, and what that does is make all slides, trigger modules, and grips compatible across all models. On the V1, you had to make sure if you were getting the compact or the full size, compatibility-wise, going back and forth between long slide, short slide. This one, they have done it so that they're all compatible across every single model, which is pretty cool, I think. So when they initially launched the V1, this was kind of their answer to, in my opinion, I feel like it was their response to the 320 having the trigger module that you can change around, but in Glock format, which they were the first one that I know of that took a stab at this in the Glock form. At the time, that was a really cool thing. The 320 was the only other one that I knew about that was doing it. And so to see that in a familiar platform that, again, an opinion that I like way more than the 320 was awesome. And it did also address another thing, which is grip angle. That's probably the single biggest complaint I hear from non-Glock people, is it's got that little swell at the bottom, gives them a little different grip angle than they're used to. And they solved that problem by putting out their version of the frame, which has a little steeper grip angle than a stock Glock. For those of you that are somehow unfamiliar with the OZ9, I'm impressed if you aren't. It's basically same size. This one, the full size, Glock 17 size. You can get smaller slide and keep this size grip to run Glock 19X, Glock 45 size, or you could switch out the grip and run long slide short grip, which is cool, especially for concealed carry, because the grip is typically the part that prints the most, or you could run short slide short grip Glock 19 sized. So for the people that are unfamiliar, that's the easiest way to reference their different sizing options. I think it's pretty cool that relatively inexpensively you can switch all that around, because it's all compatible with each other with the V2 version. All right, so I've pulled the slide off. Part of what is cool about the OZ9, and we talked about it a little bit, but the actual trigger group, this whole steel frame inside, which includes the pick rail section, that's the serialized part. And this, to me, does two things. One, obviously switching grips and everything. To do that in a different striker-fired gun that doesn't have a serialized internal frame like this, or the 320 or the Echelon or whatever else, you have to buy a whole new gun to do that. Even if you're just buying the frame, still serialized, you still have to do a 4473. It's a pain, and this makes you avoid all that. Second thing it does is that it adds rigidity to the inside, because instead of being all plastic with locking lugs and a couple little things, this whole thing is made of steel. It adds rigidity, which, depending on who you talk to, adds accuracy and a few other benefits, but I think that is a pretty cool feature. Another thing with compatibility is this V2 version uses Gen 5 internals, so Glock Gen 5 internals, trigger, stuff like that, but Gen 3 recoil system, so your guide rod and spring is gonna be compatible with Gen 3 components. Out of the box, it does come with two, they use the PMags, so 17 round Glock 17 PMags. It comes with two of those. It is already RMR cut. It comes with, at least this version, they do have elite models, which I don't actually know what changes in there. This version has a blacked out rear sight, fiber optic front sight, which I actually quite enjoy. And this one's chambered in 9mm, which is my favorite handgun caliber, besides 50 Action Express. It's compatible, obviously, with all Glock mags, Glock accessories. We do have OZ9 specific holsters at Tier 1, so make sure you get one of those. If you get one of these. I think now we just hit the range, shoot this gun a little, and come back for you with the score. All right, we're down at the Armory in Murray, Utah. They're letting us use this private bay. We've got a clean target. We're gonna push it out to 7 yards. And I know I'm not Aaron. Don't judge me too hard. Send me all your thoughts and prayers in the comments that I could shoot as good as Aaron today. But don't get your hopes up because I can't shoot straight, Aaron. As long as I'm sub 3, my friends are holding. All right.
Are you ready?
Ready.
Stand by. .252.
Looks like one little left just outside the line. All right, we'll go again.
Are you ready?
Ready.
Stand by. Nice. 231.
All right. That one looks like it was all clean, potentially line breaker on the top. We'll just ignore, it's all clean except for that miss. Yeah, so I got one out. The sugar is real nice like. I am pretty prone to trigger freeze, and I felt like I had a pretty smooth cadence. So as far as stock guns go, I think I'm pretty safe to say I have the worst recoil management of the bunch here, and I feel like it was pretty easy to track the dot. Yeah. All right, we'll do the 3R3 now. We'll send this back out. Remember, that's where the meat is. All right, and on this gun, all right, this is unloaded. This particular model does not have the magwell on it, but as you can see, the hole for a pin, and it's got the groove for the front. You can't get magwells. So I think this will be, I mean, I guess it is flared a little, so it's not gonna be the best for reloads, it's not gonna be the worst, but it does come ready to upgrade, basically. So 3R3. Okay, I'm ready.
Stand by.
Whoop. Okay. I really screwed the pooch on that one. That's a my bad. Actually, no, let's blame it on the gun. The gun sucks.
Are you ready?
Ready.
Stand by. Four, 5, 6.
All right, so as expected, as we talked about earlier, it is a little bit small of a magwell. Not as small as an M&P, I will definitely say that. The M&P without a magwell is probably the hardest gun to reload. This one gives you a little bit of forgiveness. I threw one a little high, the rest are in. Definitely good that they make magwells to add to this gun, at least for me. We've got a fresh B8 posted up, and we got 10 rounds loaded in this mag. We're going for accuracy, trying to keep it in the 10 ring at 10 yards. Speed has nothing to do with this. We're trying to see how accurate the gun is. I will say, maybe I'll draw a little picture when we get back to do our final review of this gun, but my red dot is kind of like a squiggly line that bends off to the right. So we're gonna do our best with what we have here. And by what we have, I mean my eyes. I should probably get looked at. All right. All right, so I can already tell you there's gonna be 2 that are low because I felt myself dip on 2 of them. If there's more than that, ignore them. Oh my gosh, they're all low. No, these were the 2 I was thinking of probably, even though this is, we're gonna be low on 3 of them. I felt 3 of them go low. No, it is all in the 10 ring though. Which I would say is a massive success considering I'm the person shooting it. It more than did its job keeping everything in the temple. So I personally am happy with that based on how I feel about myself as a shooter compared to how I feel about the gun's ability. So we'll take it back to our armory and tally up the final score. give you my final thoughts, I will preemptively say I like this gun a lot, and I'm probably gonna buy one. We're back from the range, shot this gun a little. It's definitely the same day. And we're gonna get into the score. The first one we're gonna talk about is cost. For me, this is gonna get a 7 for cost. It is a little more expensive. MSRP is $1,499, but for what you get, I don't think that that's that big of a deal. If you're gonna fully build a Glock, that seems pretty on par with the cost you'd be doing custom slide cuts, optic cut, stipple, trigger, everything else that comes with it. Ergonomics next for me is gonna be an 8 because everybody shot a Glock, everybody knows the Glock ergonomics. They're all pretty much the same across striker fired, and this is Glock but better in my opinion. And I like Glock ergonomics, and this frame angle solves the one main problem that all non-Glock people seem to have an issue with, and that's the grip angle. So that gets an 8 for me. The trigger also gets an 8. I typically do not like striker fire gun triggers. I think it is pretty rare to get a trigger that feels really nice. It's crisp, it doesn't have false walls, it has a clean break, everything, and this checks pretty much all the boxes for me. I think it'd be beat out by the Apex trigger in an M&P 2.0 for me, and maybe a Canik, a stock Canik SFX rival. Might be beat out by that, but as far as a Glock goes, which I'm obviously comparing it to a lot because it's basically awesome Glock, it's very good for a Glock trigger. Bore axis is gonna get an 8 because to get lower bore axis than a gun like this, your options are like the Type B, which I like a lot, maybe CZs, but you have a really thin slide, and that's arguable if where the bore axis ends up on that. And then like the Alien, you go to a $5,000 gun to get a Laugo, or however you pronounce it, Alien. So as far as getting lower bore axis than this, I think your options are pretty limited, and that this is very good in the scope of similar guns. All right, sights are gonna get a 7 for me on this one. That is because I would give it a better score because I typically do enjoy a fiber optic front and a blacked out rear. I will say the front sight, I would prefer to either be a little fatter or the back sight notch to be a little smaller, because there is quite a bit of light on each side. I feel like when there's room to move that front sight around in there, accuracy is harder to maintain, personally, on a personal level. Also, some people like night sights from the factory. Maybe that's an option on the Elites. This particular gun did not come with them. Aftermarket support. This is a loaded question for this gun because Zev was making aftermarket parts for Glocks long before they launched the OZ9. So they make all the aftermarket parts you could ever want for this gun. They make a magwell you can add, which I think is the main thing I would do. They make triggers if you need to replace them. They make back plates if you want a cool looking back plate. Like, they make all the accessories. This one comes with their match grade barrel in it already, but basically all the aftermarket support is already offered from Zev, and it's compatible with lots, assuming you get the correct gen. Remember, Gen 5 internals, but Gen 3 recoil system. Assuming you get the correct gen, it's compatible with lots of stuff for Glock from pretty much any other company that makes stuff for Glock. So that one gets a solid 10. Round capacity is gonna be an 8. This is 17+1. That's pretty on par for guns of this size. Serviceability for me is gonna get a 7. I say that because it's pretty serviceable to the user. You just do have to pay attention to generation compatibility, and then also having the serialized steel receiver inside of a grip with a slide on top. It just adds one more component of paying attention to what parts go where. For value, I'm gonna give this one an 8. I do not give it an 8 lightly. I think it is an expensive gun, but when you're in the realm of fully building your handguns, it's a really good value. I would add a magwell, and probably that's all I would do to it, honestly. And that's something that Zev does offer. You can buy it straight from them. So for me, the high price is definitely worth what you get out of it. It's an excellent gun, fully built. You don't have to wait for months to send things to different companies, hope it comes back at all. And if it does come back, hope it's good and what you wanted. Based on having sent out lots of parts myself, that is something that does happen regularly. I've gotten slides back with the wrong color Cerakote. I've gotten frames back with the wrong texture stipple. Everything under the sun you take as a variable when you send things out, and this kind of solves that problem by having it all done before you buy it so you know exactly what you're getting. And last but not least is cool factor. I'm giving this a 9 because I like Glocks and I like this gun, and I think it's a very cool gun and it shoots super nice. I'm a big fan of it. Definitely gonna buy one myself eventually, and it's cool. Total score for the gun is gonna be 80, which puts that in the #1 slot. And I know this is my first time here and I'm launching a gun to #1, but it is what it is. Fight me in the comments. I don't care. I like this gun a lot. So that's gonna wrap it up for me. Don't forget to buy an OZ9 holster if you have an OZ9. They did just recently announce a metal frame, I believe aluminum, if I remember right. If you want us to throw that on this gun and revisit this for a review, let us know. So that wraps it up for this. Buy an OZ9 holster, buy an OZ9 if you want. If you do get the gun, definitely get the holster. If there's any other guns you want to see us do a Monday Gunday on, drop those in the comments. We'll see what we can get to. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, tell your friends, buy a holster, have fun, most importantly. We'll see you on the next one.